The devil take it. Were these shows any good that we saw? Well, let's start with Shaw's The Devil's Disciple, which takes place during the Revolutionary War with the British making a point of murdering Dudgeons. Mrs. Dudgeon, who was a terrible mom and wife, but still expects to get the house, but her profligate son Dick Dudgeon returns and gets it. The Reverend and his wife try to smooth things over in this contentious family. Dick tries to warn the Reverend that he is in great danger from the British, and Dudgeon becomes quite smitten with the Reverend's enchanting wife. While Dick is visiting the Reverend's wife, the British arrest Dick, who they mistakenly think is the Reverend. Dick gladly goes off with them and tells the wife to warn the Reverend. To Elizabeth's shock, the Reverend just scurries out of town. She can't let Dick hang and wants to tell the truth. Will Dick hang? Is he as bad as the town folks think he is? This is full of Shawian witticisms and plot twists that get you thinking. 5 women take on the task of telling the story that is found in a journal in an attic. Very well acted by the 5 women who have to change characters with just a bit of a scarf or a coat. It took a while for me to cotton to this odd version, but after the talk back, I understood the choices better. Believe me, there is a superb speech at the end that will add balm to your shattered souls after the disgusting outcome on Tuesday. And the fact that this was written in 1897, it's like, oh my gosh. So I'm giving it the happy face minus.
At New York Theater Workshop, you could see We Live in Cairo, which is a musical with book, music, and lyrics by the Lazars, the brothers Daniel and Patrick, choreography and movement and direction by Anne Yee, and major direction by Tabi Magar. And it deals with a group of young people who are quite diverse, but all together involved in protesting that came to be known as the Arab Spring. It's sort of their going mass movement in Tahrir Square in Cairo. And the time of this is from 2010 to 2014. You have Layla, who at first is very unpolitical because her father's an important, I guess, government official. And she goes to a party late at night with her Christian Coptic boyfriend, Amir, and she meets all his friends, including Fadwa, who is just out of jail, and she's a member of the very long-standing family of protesters going back generations. There's Karim, who is from a very rich family related to Fadwa. He's sort of a street artist. He makes murals that are protesting Mubarak. Layla first agrees to document Karim's murals, but becomes more and more involved and becomes quite a protester herself. But what happens to the group after? Once they've achieved their first major aim that they were all together involved with, they have different ideas and different desires for the future. I especially liked the guy playing Amir, who's Ali Louis Borzgui. He in the play, he plays guitar and sings a protest song that he wrote. Woman playing Fadwa, it has amazing, fierce energy. Rotana Tarabzuni. And Layla had an incredible voice, and she's played by Nadina Hassan. So I would recommend this. It gets a happy face from me.
At the Laura Pell Theater right now, we have Megan Kennedy's The Counter, about 2 isolated, unlikely people who become friends and what that entails. Paul, who is Katie's first customer at the diner, discusses movies and lack of sleep until finally getting up the nerve to ask Katie to be his friend. She hesitantly agrees. At first, they exchange secrets about each other. She is starting afresh after blowing it with some guy she was attracted to. She always wanted to start over in a small town as a waitress with a front porch. He feels that she is wasting her life and should expect more out of life. His big secret is for her to do an impossible favor only because he wants to be surprised. Peg comes into the diner. She and Paul went to high school together, and she's the town doctor, and there's a little mystery between them. This was a sweet story of human nature acted with great nuance by everyone. I was very invested in the outcome of these likable characters that were played by Anthony Edwards, Susanna Flood, and Amy Warren. You'll never know who you'll encounter in a diner that can change your life. Happy face.
Roundabout Theater Company is presenting Yellowface, which was written by Daniel Henry Wang and directed by Lee Silverman. When it was originally presented, David Henry Wang played himself, and it was the time when Miss Saigon was coming to Broadway, and David Henry Wang protested that instead of Jonathan Pryce, who's non-Asian, playing a major role of a pimp in Saigon, it should be played by an Asian actor. And this became a big brouhaha. It's interesting now, Daniel J. Kim is playing Henry David Wang, and they're the people who are not the principal performers play various characters from the time who had something to say either in agreement with Wang or against him. And they're playing wildly against type. They might not be the same gender of the person they're presenting, and they certainly may not be the same racial kind. So it's sort of a way of saying both that, yes, Asian actors should be given a chance to play Asian characters, but also there's a universality, and any good actor can play against type. When he was in China, he always identified with American actors such as Jimmy Stewart and wanted to come to America. And when he did, he became a big success in the banking industry. But now the government is coming down on him, and his health, because he's older, is not so great. And he's played by the wonderful actor Francis Dew. And that's really where the heart of the play is. That's the guy that you care about most, and David Wang, not so much in the newsworthy aspect, but in the familial aspect. I like this play very much. I gave it a happy face.
I saw Yellowface when it was at the Public, and Francis Dew played his father there too. And also the other thing about Yellowface is it discusses his next play, which was he wrote a play about this called Face Value, about the whole white person playing Asian. And I saw Face Value when it came out in a blizzard. It never even opened. It was not a successful play. But I think Yellowface succeeded beautifully. It worked back when I saw it decades ago, and it's working now. And Daniel Day Kim was just a revelation. He was so good. And I love this play so much. It's so good. Happy face.
McNeal by Ayad Akhtar is about artificial intelligence and plagiarism. Jacob McNeal, a respected writer and candidate for the Nobel Prize for Literature, but he's also an alcoholic. Jacob has an estranged son, Harlan, who discovers that his father's latest work is a plagiarized version of a novel written years earlier by his mother, who committed suicide when she found out about Jacob's adulterous affair. The play is a convoluted, confusing, and disconcerted mess. You get completely lost in what is real and what is AI, and you couldn't care less. Starring as Jacob is the film star Robert Downey Jr. His involvement in this play is the only reason it was produced.
Well, you're wrong, because I love this play. I found it fascinating because there was so much nuance to it. And first of all, Robert Downey Jr. is really good on stage. I was very impressed because it just shows that murky line between creativity and laziness. The thing is, he is desperate to get a Nobel Prize. He wants that Nobel Prize more than anything. But the thing is, does he deserve that Nobel Prize? And I didn't find it confusing at all, because you don't know. Is he really that good a writer, or has he always relied on AI? Or maybe he didn't rely on AI just for inspiration, but he did all the writing. It's like what is a person's contribution? What is the AI's contribution? And should the AI get the Nobel Peace Prize? So I found this riveting, and I'm giving it a happy face minus because I missed a lot too because I had to close my eyes a lot because there was a lot of vertigo-y inducing stuff. But it was just really, I thought it was well done. So I'm giving it the happy face minus.
I'm giving it a mixed face.
At Second Stage, Tony Kaiser's theater, the one on 43rd Street, this is their last season, sadly, is Amy Berriman's Walden, which takes place in the near future, out in the wilderness of America. Kathy is returning from the moon after living there for a year to visit her twin sister Stella, who is now living in the wilderness with her boyfriend Brian, who is an Earth advocate. Both sides want to save humanity. Is it better to fix Earth or abandon it and start over on the moon or Mars? Kathy hero worships her sister and desperately wants her to return to NASA with her because Stella they were both raised by an astronaut father, and both of them wanted to, be astronauts. So will Kathy make the ultimate decision to move permanently to Mars? That's what's going on right now. Or, does she want to stay and be with her sister? And then there's Brian, who's like torn with everything going on because there's this tension with the sisters. It's a taut drama that explores family dynamics and how to save the world. The acting and set were magnificent. You really felt that they were sisters who were raised by a demanding astronaut dad who expected his daughters to continue his legacy. So I'm giving, and I usually don't like dystopian stories, but this one was well told. I give this a happy face.
At Irish Rep Theater, you can see The Beacon, written by Nancy Harris, directed by Mark Atkinson Burrell. And it concerns Bev, a famous Irish artist associated with feminism and an eccentric, fiercely independent lifestyle. She's living in a cottage on an island off the west coast of Ireland, which belonged to her successful lawyer husband, who disappeared under mysterious circumstances 10 years ago. Many people believe that she was involved and responsible for her husband's demise. This cottage, by the way, is a beautiful set. It has a window directly onto the wild Atlantic Ocean, and she's redoing the rest of it so it'll be a completely glass box. Her son, who seems to be always ticked off with her, has come to visit with his new bride, an American girl that I guess he met in San Francisco, where he's a top kind of tech person, software, and very successful. He didn't let his mom know that he was bringing his wife, and there's really no place for them to sleep, so they go to the inn. There's also helping Bev with the reconstruction is Donald, who is an islander and a friend of Colm, who's the son from way back in their childhood. It's very interesting about how we think we know people, but we find out much more the more time we spend with them and in real dialogue. Also, Colm gets into an argument where he gets a bit violent with his wife and she disappears for a while. So it seems like this family is going to be beset by disappearances under mysterious circumstances. I think the play is quite interesting. It sort of has the attractions of murder mystery and soap opera, but is kind of a bit more literary than either of those. And Kate Mulgrew, who plays Beth, is amazing. So I would give this one a happy face.
Yeah, we are actually in agreement here. And you know me, I love murder mysteries and soap operas. So this was right up my alley. Yeah. And also you had this whole family drama. Like you said, it's like, I don't know why the son and the mother had this weird contentious relationship that made no sense to me. And I think maybe he has his dad on a pedestal, and maybe the dad shouldn't be on a pedestal. You never know. And the poor wife, she's this friendly, happy, bubbly, optimistic person amongst all these gloomy, drunken Irish people. So that was fun. And then you have tension because we don't know exactly what's going on between Donald and his friend Colum. So that's a bit of a mystery too. And there's all these murky relationships going on. And did she kill him on a boat or what? I mean, we never really know. And there's some podcaster lurking around trying to do some real crime, murder mystery over this thing. And it's just really just lots hanging around and ghosts hovering, not real ghosts, but things of the past kind of affecting things. But I give this a happy face. Hello, here we are with Lissa Moira and Rita Costanzi to talk about their play they're doing at Theater for the New City. Take it away.
Hi, Lissa Moira. And I am here, of course, with the fabulous Rita Costanzi. We talked about the fact that we are both doing Woman on a Ledge. I am directing and Rita is starring, and she is starring with her harp that she calls Maria. And believe me, it is another character in the show, an amazing character. And I was just wanting to ask Rita how it was that we got together and a little bit thematically about her beautiful, beautiful play, Woman on a Ledge.
Well, Lissa and I have a mutual friend, an off-Broadway composer named Michael Cohen. And I was searching for a woman director, and Michael recommended Lissa to me. And then I had to wait a whole year. I was grateful Lissa read the script and loved it, but she was so busy. So we waited a year, and now we're finally happening.
Yay.
And Woman on a Ledge is based on my memoir. It is my life story, but adapted for the stage by Hershey Felder, who is very known for his one-man composer plays that he does on the piano. And it's the story of a love affair with a man and the love affair of the artist with her instrument.
I think that says a lot. And you cannot, if you love the harp in any way, and I do, and even if you think you know the harp, believe me, you don't, because in the hands of Rita Costanzi, it is a miracle instrument. It is so glorious, so beautiful. I fell every time I hear it. It brings tears to my eyes, and sometimes an incredible beatific smile that I cannot get rid of for half an hour after the show. And heaven knows we need something like that right now. So you must come and see her perform. And she is such a gifted natural actress as well, that it was an absolute joy for me to enhance and bring out all of those talents that she possesses as well. She's playing all the characters in her life, and you can sense them. You have a visceral connection with every character that she portrays in the show, as well as, of course, herself from childhood until this moment right now. And Rita, why don't you tell us all of the composers that your sort of playlist in the show?
Well, Hershey Felder did a brilliant job of aligning the music, choosing the music with the script. And I am playing some French harp pieces that will probably not be known to the public so much by Marcel Tournier. And then I'm playing the very famous O mio babbino caro aria by Puccini, and there's music, the famous Albinoni Adagio. And of course, the theme song, if you will, of the whole piece is Un Sospiro, the famous Un Sospiro by Franz Liszt, that was transcribed for harp by the renowned French woman harpist Henriette Renier. And that kind of really sings throughout the script and is something that I wanted to learn for over 30 years, but with career and husband and children, never had the time. And in 2016, I picked up the score and learned it and felt that it was going to be part of my future life. And here it is.
Here it is, and here it is magnificently played. You have to see this, you have to hear it. And Rita, you mentioned quite often how much your father influenced you throughout your life. Could you tell us a little bit about him and your connection to him and how it plays out in the play?
Yes, my father and I, uh, I guess it's karmic. We had a very deep, deep connection. His name was Francis Tercy, and he was a very noted violist and professor of viola at the Eastman School of Music. So growing up as daughter of, this was, of course, quite a trip. It's very difficult if you are a gifted child in music, as I was, to have a gifted parent. And you are always identified as daughter of, people would say, here's Rita Tercy, daughter of Francis Tercy. Mm. And later I assumed my married name, Rita Costanzi, which is now what I use. But he was the most incredible, not only father, but he was such an inspiration to me. He was a poet on the viola. And I always said he was one of my great teachers as well. My harp teacher taught me the mechanics of harp playing, but it was my dear father who really taught me about artistry and wouldn't let me play the harp the way most harpists were playing. He insisted that I play it musically and really work much harder to be able to do that.
I know that you played for many different, like, philharmonics and that kind of setting. Why did you leave? And I know that is highlighted in the play. What made you decide to sort of thrust yourself into the world of solo?
Well, in the harp world, you're told the only two possibilities for a real job are to be in an orchestra or to be a university professor. And my soul was always speaking to me that I had another life and that my deep connection with this instrument, it being in the back of an orchestra was not going to be experienced. And I did try teaching at several universities, and I found the academic world also was very challenging. So I left, and, the world was horrified at the time because they thought when I won the job in the Vancouver Symphony, it would be a question of 4 or 5 years, and I'd get one of the jobs in one of the big 5 orchestras, and my life would be set. Mm-hmm. And they didn't understand that I was dying because I needed to have that solo, that intimacy, and I wanted to bring my instrument to audiences in a way where they could really experience it and experience its beauty. And of course, now classical music is not the most popular genre these days. And we struggle to get, I always say, we struggle to get 10 people to a classical harp recital. But what I'm discovering is that people love theater, and they come to the theater. They'll come to my theater piece, and then they hear me play the harp. And one gentleman said, I have to tell you, I never liked the harp, but now after hearing it, it makes me want to come to a harp concert. And I thought, hallelujah, I can help my colleagues.
Exactly. Everyone will be entranced, believe me, and they will change their opinion of the harp. Unless they already thought it was glorious, which is where I came to the piece. So, yeah. So I feel basically that this piece is almost like the triumph of art, that because you dedicated your life to it, and it transcends. And right now we all need a little bit of transcendence. So I think this is a fabulous, fabulous way to spend an evening or a matinee. And I would basically, in conclusion, tell everybody, Theater for the New City, 155 First Avenue, November 7th through November 24th. And well, the November 10th Sunday is sold out, so don't try that one. But all the other performances that are left, please do join us. The tickets are a mere $18.15 for students and seniors. And if you have to see Rita with the Philharmonic, you'll be paying $125 or more. So you're getting a glorious concert packed into a play. Come and see us.
This is Sasha Clarke's review of Gatz. Elevated Repair Service, which conceived Gatz and is known for bringing works of literature to the stage, originally performed Gatz at the public in an earlier incarnation many years ago, and it also was performed at the Skirball Center. Since then, it has toured this production around the world while working on other projects, and now they have brought Gatz back to New York for its final visit where it first started at the public. This is not just theater. It is literally an explosion of the novel. It begins simply enough. A very bland and boring office set confronts the audience. A worker tries to get his typewriter to work and his computer to work, and he can't. He then flips open the large metal Rolodex on his desk and finds a paperback copy of The Great Gatsby tucked inside. He opens it and begins to read it out loud. As the novel progresses and the reading continues, our narrator dissolves and becomes Nick, while the other office members embody the remainders of the characters. This very tight ensemble invokes all the personalities of this well-known work. They make this marathon performance seem effortless. Every single word of the novel is spoken out loud while the office slowly melts away into the various scenes of the book. It is a true theatrical experience and is worth the effort to be witnessed. The performance schedule is arranged so that each part has an intermission and a dinner break between the episodes, because this is over 8 hours long. But you don't feel the 8 hours. In fact, you wish it were longer. You never want to leave the stage. Rarely do events at theater become all-encompassing. Do not miss this encore performance. You will be glad you indulged in it. Major happy face. And now for our theater listings until our next show, which is November 30th. So have a nice Thanksgiving, everyone. I'm going to start with special events. New York Gilbert and Sullivan Players are presenting Ruddigore Saturday, November 23rd, Sunday, November 24th at John Jay College's Gerald Lynch Theater. And the Love Show is presenting Glamour Thursday, November 21st and Saturday, November 23rd at the Hidden Jewel Box Theater. Closing November 17th, Lots in the Amazon warehouse parking lot at Playwrights Horizon, Skyscraper, the musical at Urban Stages, La Mama Puppet Festival, Baba Yaga and the Firebird at the New Victory, Malaprop Hot House at Irish Center, Another Shot at the Signature Center's Romulus Linney Courtyard Theater, and those all will end up on our Facebook page. Closing November 23rd, Gaviota at BAM, that's going to be on the Facebook page, and Okuni, the woman who created Kabuki at Theater Row. Closing November 24th, all at Theater for the New City is Rita is the Goat, Diva Therapy, and the people we interviewed, Woman on a Ledge. And just a shout out to places I like to go to that you can do during your Thanksgiving break is the Japan Society, 54 Below, and 92 NY. We have wonderful things to go see.